At some point, we no longer care about winning or losing. We choose silence, smile, and move past all pressures with inner peace. That is not weakness, but the choice of one who understands life. Happiness does not come from struggle, but from peace within one's own soul. Amidst life's hustle and bustle, we only wish for the years to pass in tranquility. May this life bring peace to us and to those we love. Because sometimes living simply is the deepest way to find true fulfillment. Life is inherently not easy. Every family has its own situation. Every person has their own sorrows. Don't blame others for not helping you, and don't be angry with them for not caring. Everyone in this life must experience joy, sadness, pleasure, and hardship. All must be felt by oneself. On the journey of life, we must always walk alone. The only one who can truly help us best is ourselves. When you are not in a good mood, do not make things difficult for yourself. In life, besides birth and death, everything else is trivial. As long as the sun still rises every day, there is no chasm you cannot cross. Life is inherently tiring. Why make your heart even more weary? Emotions cannot solve any problem. Try to think more openly. Take things less seriously. Simplify things, and you will feel happier. Let go of worries. Keep your mind clear. May daily peace wash away unpleasant things, making your mind pure and unhindered every day. Someone once said that those who know how to let go are the happiest. Suffering is not caused by fate or others, but by ourselves. If you know how to let go, you will live a simpler and happier life. In life, some people easily fall into despair and suffering because they carry too many burdens, too many worries, and too many sorrows. Eventually, they get stuck and collapse. Life is inherently not simple or easy. Sometimes you need to know how to let go of certain things and issues so you can stand up strong and move forward. Stubbornness will only keep you immersed in suffering, forever unhappy. When you know how to let go, you will see that life still holds many good things waiting for you ahead. Surely, more than once, you have asked yourself, why can't I remember things I need to remember? And why can't I forget things I want to forget? And perhaps this is a question many people ask. A merchant came to a monk. He asked, "Master, sometimes I want to let go of everything because I'm too tired, but I can't. Do you have a way to help me?" The monk handed him a cup of water and told him to hold it. The monk continuously poured hot water into the cup, and the water overflowed onto the merchant's hand, burning him. He let go, and the cup broke. At this moment, the monk calmly said, "If you want to let go of anything, let go before it causes harm, rather than waiting until disaster strikes. By then, it will be too late." The problem is, why should we let go from the beginning when we don't know whether what's about to happen is good or bad? In this life, only we know when to hold on and when to let go. There are things that, with persistence and patience, can yield sweet fruits. But there are also things that inherently have no outcome. The more we get involved, the more pain we receive. In that case, letting go is a choice, sooner or later. But humans are stubborn. We can't just let go instantly, can we? In truth, deep down, everyone carries emotional wounds, sorrows that they only chew on alone at night. We often say that time heals all wounds, but in reality, that is just deceiving ourselves and others. Because time is not medicine. It has no effect in helping you heal emotional wounds. Time is merely indifferent. It is the human heart that has intention. When enough time passes, our feelings and thoughts also change. When our emotions settle and our consciousness finds a bit of peace, then we can be tolerant and open enough to let go of the old sorrows and resentments. Looking back at life like wind drifting clouds, if you cannot hold on to it, suddenly you no longer want to be stubborn. Therefore, it is not time that heals emotional wounds, but rather that at some point you yourself want to let go. Only by letting go of all worries can our hearts open up and see the good things ahead. Happiness or suffering, both are your choice. If you know how to cherish everything you have, you will not waste time. You will not miss out on your life. If we know how to let go in this present life, let go of fame, fortune, hatred, trivial grudges, abandon calculations and schemes, and the greed and anger of daily life, then we will find inner joy and serenity for ourselves. Sometimes we bow our heads to clearly see the path we are walking. Many people find themselves having too many things that are not as desired, yet they cannot let go. Learning to let go of a few things will help your soul feel lighter, more peaceful, and you will feel the change every day. 1. Let go of pressure. Whether you are tired or not depends on your mind. In the room of your soul, if it is not swept clean, it will be covered with dust. Sweeping away the dust will make a gloomy mind bright again. Clarifying things allows you to naturally shed all worries. Throw away some pointless suffering, and happiness will overflow. 2. Let go of the past. Only by letting go of the past can your heart welcome new joys and change your mood. Therefore, from now on, learn to be calm. Accept the truth. Face all difficulties with equanimity, and learn to view life with a positive outlook. Learn to look at the good in everything in the world. 3. Let go of negativity. Negative thoughts can kill you. Therefore, to become a successful person, strive to make the positive defeat the negative. Make nobility defeat narrow-mindedness. Make sincerity defeat artificiality. Make resilience defeat weakness. Make greatness defeat baseness. With effort, you can absolutely do everything well yourself. 4. Let go of resentment. Instead of complaining, continue to strive. No success comes without having experienced failure. Resentment and anger only hinder the path to success. Letting go of resentment, having a calm and peaceful mind, accepting failure, and then continuing to strive is the only way to bring hope. 5. Let go of narrow-mindedness. Forgiveness is a virtue. Forgiving others gives you a broad and clear path, and it is also forgiving yourself. Life is not just about possession, but also about letting go. Because when you tightly clench your hand, there will be nothing inside. But when you loosen your hand, the whole world will be in your hand. Learn to let go. You will live a happier and more peaceful life. Let go of all hatred. Don't blame life or resent anyone. Our destiny is arranged by creation. Life is impermanent. What goes around comes around. Let go of all that is called sadness. Bury all unhappy things. Live peacefully in this life. Don't pay attention to gossip. Let go of the grievances you have endured to soothe your soul's sorrow. Because in this world, all things will change. Nothing lasts forever. Let go of weakness and fear. When you stumble, you must learn to stand up. Even if there are things you don't want to forget, don't let them become a burden. If possible, don't complain about your fate. Sweep away sorrow. Let worries be carried away by the wind. Life is short, and there isn't even enough time for love. Why bother with moments of anger and jealousy? If you can, relax. Live selflessly and strongly in life. Because we know that giving lasts forever. Being content will bring peace to the mind. If you can let your soul follow the wind, if you know how to let go, you will have so much joy and happiness. No matter how small, how tranquil this life becomes, if you can keep each moment flowing gently without a whisper of turmoil. Amidst the marketplace of life, quietly sleep in peace. Let worries drift away on the wind. take things lightly, and you will be happy. A person's maturity does not depend on age, but is determined by their mindset. A mature person does not necessarily have to experience many things, but what is important is their attitude in dealing with each matter. When facing situations, when living in a group, if you see another's fault, you should think about your own shortcomings. When you hear about someone's misfortune, you should empathize with the difficulties they face. The more lightly we view problems, the more we can reduce suffering. The more generous our hearts, the more joy we will experience. In life, it's never always smooth sailing. Not everything is perfect and pleasing. When misunderstandings arise, instead of useless arguments, it's better to smile and move on, letting time prove everything. We only need to do our best in our own duties. Everything will naturally settle. Life needs a quiet space for the soul. Talking too much easily leads to mistakes. Being too meddlesome easily causes trouble. Instead of babbling endlessly, why don't we contemplate our own minds? Instead of blaming heaven and complaining about others, why not focus on our main work? What can disturb us are the people and things we pay attention to. The harm that can invade us is because you hold on to it and don't let go. If you are gentle and cheerful, who can be angry? If you don't care or worry, who can disturb you? In a person's life, joy and sorrow will all pass. Taking things too seriously only brings suffering to oneself. To have a happy life, practice gently letting go. If you cannot shine brightly like the sun, at least have a little light like the moon and stars. To be happy, you need to think broadly and look far. A broad heart is a blessing. Taking things lightly brings joy. It's not our business, it's life's business. Wealth and poverty, beauty and ugliness everywhere. Right or wrong in the world, when entangled, when will the mind be at peace? Matters of the future, matters of heaven and earth. Worrying makes life unhappy. The path of life is inherently uneven. Accept impermanence and live lightly. Sometimes I ask myself, why isn't life as happy as I wish? My inner voice replies, too many worries, too little understanding, too much seeking, too little contentment, too much worrying, too little taking lightly. We humans are inherently small, yet we are filled with love, hatred, and resentment, leaving no room for joy and peace. I asked my heart again, why does love cause such pain? My inner voice spoke, once stirred, the heart is split in two. Half is me, the other half is them. From then on, I am no longer whole. Laughter depends on others. Tears are not shed by my own will. A broken heart shows you have been moved. Sorrow comes from placing your concerns in another. I still don't understand why life is so difficult to choose. My inner voice explained, wanting everything and letting go of nothing is a common human ailment. Actually, the way to face choice is very simple. Choose what you like and like what you choose. Whether it's work or love, once chosen, do not regret. Do not complain. I wondered again, why is our body so tired? My inner voice echoed, who, born as a human, goes through life without getting tired? Is there any path paved entirely with roses? It's just that some people quietly manage to overcome it themselves. Others are noisy all around, crying and complaining about everything. When facing hardship, be a little optimistic. When facing setbacks, be a little calm. Then whatever happens will pass. I asked myself how one should live to be considered good. My inner voice whispered, treat others sincerely. Face work wholeheartedly. Confront feelings steadfastly. Treat yourself generously. No matter the year or season, never forget to strive. Never betray kindness. No matter where you live, always be a good person. A person with a conscience. What if you gain in life? What if you lose? After all, we are just travelers passing through this dusty world in relationships. What if you stay together? What if you break up? Ultimately, we are just experiencing destiny. With money, what if you have a lot? What if you have little? Overall, we can only use and circulate them. All are external things. When we are born, we bring nothing. When we die, we can take nothing away. So why cling to them so heavily? Whether friends or relatives, meeting each other is due to karma. Leaving each other also has its own reasons. Why force a connection? There are many things you need to forget. Then forget them. If you should let go early. Why keep worrying and get sad? With some people, it's not that you didn't know how to keep them, but once they want to leave, even deep affection will only cause entanglement and trouble. There are some things you don't fully exert yourself for, because some things don't belong to you. No matter how many schemes you devise, you ultimately cannot control them. Therefore, as a person, just be sincere and honest, without shame in your heart. When working, do your utmost honorably and uprightly. The rest, let karma unfold, and accept all sweet results. Then everything will have its own meaning and peace. Examine the earthly world with your heart. Return to judge your inner self. Be gentle with your own mind. Spread out abundantly the realm of life. In life, few are completely compassionate and magnanimous, keeping their hearts pure. The way to live without shame is to live harmoniously and empathetically. In life, when we feel hopeless and stuck, let's calm down, smile, and say to ourselves, "My dear, relax a bit. This is just a curve, not the end of the road. All the things we have in this life are temporary. If things go well, enjoy them, because they will pass quickly. If they don't go well, don't worry, because they won't last. Morality is not like a spare tire that we take out as a shield when socializing. Morality should always be like a rudder to keep us on the right path throughout our journey through this transient world. Music. When others help us solve a problem, thank them. But don't place eternal trust in them, so that when they cannot solve our problems, we can still believe in our own abilities and strength. Music. Old friends are gold, new friends are diamonds. If we have diamonds, don't forget the gold, because to keep diamonds, we always need gold to encase them. Music. Friendship is like a book. It only takes a few minutes to burn, but several years to write. Worrying won't help you overcome tomorrow's difficulties, but it will take away your present peace. So live simply, speak kindly, and love sincerely. We all know that cars have a much larger windshield than a rearview mirror. Life is the same. Our past is not as important as our future. However, sometimes we should look at the past to gain some experience, to know how to live fully today, and to orient ourselves for tomorrow. Don't you agree? And remember, when we pray for others, the universe listens to that prayer and transmits our good energy to that person. So, whenever we feel peaceful and happy, remember that someone in the world might have prayed for us. Sometimes we should look at this world with the eyes of a child to hear the sound of love from deep within, a pure gaze that sees humanity without confusion. Music. In this life, honesty and kindness are always essential for each of us. Kindness is the bright moon in everyone's soul. The moon of kindness can illuminate the spiritual sky, transforming and changing the souls of all who walk beneath its light. A good thought is a seed. A kind heart is a flower. A good deed is a sweet fruit. Everyone is born with the seed of kindness. If that seed is cared for and watered every day, it can grow into a large green tree. But some people lose this seed and thus gradually become cold and indifferent. still others pollute that seed, and thus gradually become cruel and malicious. No one does not need kindness, and no one cannot be moved by human kindness. Even hearts as hard as steel, as cold as ice, will at some point soften and warm because of a touch of kindness. Doing good is not like depositing money in a bank. Truly kind people do not care about interest or returns. The highest state of kindness is not caring about the results or rewards for one's good deeds. In this life, have we ever found ourselves in a situation where there are too many opportunities before us to choose from? And as humans, everyone wants to be perfect in every way, so they also want perfect choices to be worthy of themselves, wanting to be the best and wanting to choose the best. One day, a young student and an old teacher discussed perfection. The student eagerly spoke about his desire to find perfection. The teacher listened attentively and then gently spoke. "May I ask you to do something?" "Yes, I am very willing." "In front of us is a lawn. Can you pick for me the most beautiful and perfect blade of grass, with the condition that you can only walk straight forward to choose the blade of grass? You cannot step backward." The student stood up and began to search for the perfect blade of grass. From his very first step onto the lawn, he looked down and saw a lush green blade of grass. He was about to reach out and pick it, but then stopped because he gazed ahead and saw many blades of grass that were much more beautiful. He began to take his second, third, and fourth steps. But like before, when he was about to pick a blade of grass at his feet, he saw other blades of grass ahead that looked more beautiful, more perfect. He kept walking, searching for a truly perfect blade of grass. But he didn't realize that in his eager search, he had already reached the other side of the lawn. At that last step, with a small patch of grass in front of him, he had no choice but to pick the prettiest blade of grass there and return to where the teacher was waiting. His face was no longer as excited as it had been. Perhaps he had understood the meaning of what he had just done. He silently handed the blade of grass to the teacher. Holding the blade of grass in his hand, the teacher smiled gently, told him to sit down, and softly said, "See, my boy, if you had known how to be content and not kept searching, you would have found a more perfect blade of grass than this one." Many people in life are like that. Because they keep choosing, they miss wonderful opportunities and later regret it. Think about today's story, my boy. Music. Have you ever tried to settle down and observe the world? You might realize that life never seems to stop changing, as if waves constantly crash against the shore. Often, waves of worry and anxiety are more numerous than waves of joy and peace. Perhaps that's why some people hold a newspaper and say, "No news is good news." But there's something very strange. Even when the sea is calm, many people don't consider that happiness. They can't sit still. They must stir up troubled waves to feel alive, to get attention and care from others. Is the human soul that impoverished? Do we live our whole lives with an ego like that of a beggar, always seeking happiness from suffering, and then becoming a victim of that very ego? One of the secrets to living in peace and happiness is knowing how to simplify complex problems, knowing how to accept everything with serenity, and fully enjoying every peaceful and joyful moment in life, right here and now. Just simplify complex problems. Life will be more relaxed and lighter. Don't complicate simple matters. An innocent soul has few sorrows. Rain then sun, sun then rain. Life remains the same. It is our heart that stirs up pain. See all things swept away by the current. Look, peace still beautiful amidst impermanence. Joy, however great, will gradually pass, and extreme pain will also fade away. Knowing this, do not be arrogant about today's success, nor should you be despondent when facing misfortune. Why do children cry often, but rarely feel sad? Adults often laugh amidst inner tears. Music. The root of happiness is how we think about people and events in life. Practice the following ways of thinking to build a long-lasting, peaceful life. In life, we can hardly avoid being judged and mocked by others for our flaws. Instead of taking offense, we can learn to laugh at our own imperfections. That is a way to perfectly show confidence in your imperfection. It is only when you acknowledge yourself that you can easily make progress. It is normal for you and others to have different opinions. You don't need to change if your opinion is not the same as anyone else's. As long as you live without harming yourself or others, and without shame in your conscience, that is enough. Some people are favored by life more than many others. This is not anyone's fault. We are forced to accept this difficult truth, that life is inherently unfair. Just keep striving every day towards your goals. If you don't reach your desired destination, at least you will have moved further than where you once stood. You should also know that you will never have everything you want. In each stage of life, you will desperately want one or more things. Even when you have what you want, you will want something else. The important thing is to learn to be content with what you have, to feel less stressed. Every day, we have to choose what to do and what not to do. Consider carefully before making a choice to avoid wasting time on things that are not worthwhile. Everything has two sides, so don't quickly believe stories told from only one side. Don't let flashy images on social media lead you astray. Investigate everything thoroughly before placing your trust. Perhaps those who choose to live deceitfully will achieve many successes faster, but only those who choose to be good people can go the distance. Be a good person, no matter how badly life treats you. Simply because being a good person first helps us get a good night's sleep. Not having to worry about any bad deeds of our own being discovered. If you expect others to bring you happiness, rest assured that you will be continuously disappointed. Love life and people without expecting anything in return. That way, you will always be at peace. Live without shame in your heart, without betraying others as you cross the river. Though the flowers may not bloom for you, why wait for streams to flow upstream? Live your life fully. Joy and sorrow will pass like a story. Spring whispers with leaves. Autumn leaves tremble. Live to love and live at ease. Music. In life, no matter how good you are, you cannot win everyone's affection. No matter how well you live, some will praise, others will criticize. No matter how successful you are, you don't need everyone to love you. Just be straightforward and generous. Flowers come in 100 shapes and 1,000 styles, yet they can still bloom and spread their fragrance without hindrance. In life, everyone has their own style. Why not support each other to rise instead of bringing each other down? If you feel it's worth it, cherish it. If you're happy, preserve it. Keep close to those who make you happy. Love those who move you. To be human, if you say it's easy, it's not entirely easy. To touch thousands of hearts or manage the tongues of the multitude, certainly not easy at all. To be human, if you say it's hard, it's not entirely hard. Just keep a kind heart. Be a gentle person and walk your own path. That's enough. A human life is not actually very long. Since we're already here, we should live a little beautifully. In life, there are many things that don't go as we wish. The sun doesn't fail to rise in the morning because you're unhappy. The moon doesn't fail to set at the end of the night because you complain. Blindfolding yourself doesn't mean the world will turn into a dark night. Blurring others' vision doesn't mean the light will belong only to you. In this world, only an axe, not sharp, enough. Not that there's any plant that can bring peace. To find inner peace is a great achievement. When young, happiness was very simple. Growing up, being able to live simply is true happiness. To make your one life worthwhile, do what you want to do and love what you want. It is because of too much expectation that people are disappointed. Far-fetched dreams vanish. Too much stored up makes it hard to confide. Some people cannot forget because they don't want to. Others must forget because it's not worth remembering. Don't trust your eyes too much, because sometimes what you see is what you wish to see, while things you dislike are skipped over. In reality, the misunderstood person loses nothing. The one who misjudges others truly loses an opportunity. We all think we control our lives, but we forget that life inherently requires many people to cooperate. Also, don't sacrifice long-term future for immediate gain. Remember that what is gained through the sacrifice of others is never stable. Life is very short. There's no time for regret. Don't worry too much about people or things that bother you, even for a minute. If there is no final result yet, smile and step forward strongly. When you meet people, remember to offer a little warmth to those around you. Amidst life's storms, reserve a little optimism for yourself. If you know how to love life, how to skillfully harmonize everything, then gradually joy and happiness will spread far and wide. Life is not a race, but a journey. A race is about the destination, but a journey is about the scenery along the way. A good mood makes the scenery more beautiful. No matter how many difficulties you face today, have faith that only yesterday cannot return, but tomorrow will surely come. Life is like a journey to one's grave. No one can accompany us for the entire journey, including family and friends. If you are fortunate enough to have someone accompany you for a while, when they have to say goodbye and get off, even if you are reluctant, you should be grateful and wave goodbye, because at the next stop, someone else will surely accompany you. Whether coffee is bitter or sweet depends on whether you add sugar or salt. A sorrow is not about how to forget it, but about whether you have enough courage to move past it and embrace something new. Life is also like a cup of tea. At first sip, it feels bitter. But that's not all. After experiencing the bitterness, you will feel a gentle sweetness. We are tired precisely because we hesitate between persistence and letting go. Sometimes we understand, but our hearts refuse to accept the truth. You entered life due to karmic affinity. But whether you stay long or leave quickly is your own decision. Not explaining brings ease. Not being stubborn brings clarity. And not being perfect is life. Don't blame others. Don't mock anyone. And don't admire them either. When the sun shines, we bask in its warmth. When storms arise, we seek shelter. Pursue your dreams. Walk the path you choose, and the world will be peaceful. When someone intentionally hurts you, forgive them, but never trust them again. Forgiving others is letting go for yourself. But if you continue to blindly trust, you are giving others another opportunity to hurt you. We should believe that everyone can correct their mistakes, but let life verify that. Even if life gives you 1,000 reasons to be sad, find 100 stories that make you happy. No matter how cruel the world is, all you need to do is keep a light heart. Let go of all undesirable people and things. Live in your present moment. If you know how to take care of yourself, not depend on others, and keep moving forward, you will surely see light and warmth on the path ahead. Life is not a battlefield, so there's no need to determine winners and losers. Between people, if understanding increases, misunderstandings will decrease. Between tasks, if yielding increases, conflict will decrease. Some things require patience. Some people require concession. You cannot always compete fiercely. There's no need to beg for anyone's approval or understanding, because everyone has their own opinions and personalities. We often take ourselves too seriously, which leads to worries about gain and loss, and then we think others don't understand us. In fact, to be human, one needs to learn to take oneself lightly, reduce a bit of ego, and put oneself in others' shoes to think. You will find life much more endearing. Therefore, it is said, the more you open your heart, the greater the joy. The wider your compassion, the more you will receive. Don't talk behind other people's backs, and don't pay too much attention to rumors about yourself, because a useless person has nothing to be talked about. The more excellent one is, the more they will be noticed and criticized. In life, admitting mistakes is a form of honesty, while overlooking them is a kind of grace. If you offer honesty but receive no grace, it shows the other person is somewhat petty and crude. We cannot control the tongues of others. The easiest thing is to keep a light heart and walk past life's complexities. To live a joyful life, half must be clear-headed. The other half sometimes needs a little foolishness. Many times, there's no need to define things too clearly, because there are things that once seen clearly, you don't want to do. And people who, once understood deeply, you don't want to associate with. In truth, deep within everyone's soul lies a hidden corner that others may never be able to share throughout their lives. All difficulties and obstacles must be faced alone and silently resolved. But no matter what happens, don't be upset all day, because we don't know how much joy awaits us tomorrow, how many paths we still need to walk, and how many doors we need to open with effort. Having joy and sorrow is what makes life real. Having bitterness and sweetness is what makes life. No matter how much pain, after a night's sleep, let it all become the past. Thinking about yesterday's matters all day will only make you more tired. We cannot know what others think, nor can we control what others do. The only thing we can do is exert our utmost effort. Do our own work well, walk the path we have chosen, and live our own life well. Inner peace will lead to outer peace and tranquility. Black and white differ by one perspective. Whether life is illusory or real, our mind shines upon it. Whether this life is good or bad depends on each person's perception. We can hear, see, and do everything according to our own thoughts. Everyone has unique thoughts and different perspectives. Perspective is formed by each person's thoughts and judgments. Whether a view is right or wrong depends on each person's mood and perspective, and their emotions. If a perspective is skewed, you will draw subjective, inaccurate conclusions. We should also not imprison ourselves within certain limits, not allowing our thoughts to go beyond existing frameworks, lest life loses its joy and becomes dull. The monotony and dullness of life easily make us discouraged and unmotivated to work. If we constantly keep ourselves in a safe shell, the results will not be what we desire. Conversely, if you embrace life with an optimistic outlook, with positive thoughts, you will have the motivation to move forward. Changing your perspective, way of thinking, and way of embracing will help you see many new opportunities that you might not have seen before. The Buddha said, "Black and white differ by one moment. It is experience, not someone's distorted view." Life always has many unexpected events. We must learn to accept and try to adapt to circumstances. You cannot keep demanding that everything happens according to your wishes. We must equip ourselves with resilience, a strong will to be ready to face all challenges. Only then will you easily achieve the goals you aim for in life. In any circumstance, even if faced with a dead end, let us change our way of thinking. Calmly examine the problem from a different angle. and then we will overcome all obstacles and difficulties. Before every mistake, instead of constantly tormenting yourself with suffering, bravely overcome it with steadfastness. To have a comprehensive, overall view of life, we should not think extremely, nor should we be overly perfectionistic. That will reduce our ability to analyze, judge, and solve our own problems. To be creative, we must look at things from multiple perspectives. To succeed, we must think differently. Negative ways of thinking bring us new and unfamiliar knowledge. The world is always moving and constantly developing. Opportunities for success are always for those who know how to seek opportunities to rise. Success always comes to those who know how to seize the moment, changing their perception of life. Be a person who is always positive, offering a fresh, different perspective to judge an event. Look back at the journey we have traveled, feel the value we possess, and have a perspective so as not to regret or mourn what has passed. We can never foresee everything in life. But have you ever wondered if, at that time, we had looked at the event from a different perspective? Perhaps now we would have received something different than what we have. Those late afternoons, after work, amidst long streets with hurried and bustling crowds. How many times have you paused for a moment to think about your life? Everyone in life must at least experience ups and downs, worries and anxieties. But life never stands still peacefully for an eternal moment. It keeps turning clockwise and rushing by, never to see yesterday's moment again. And we keep rushing, always pursuing, leaving everything behind, gaining nothing but being swept into that raging torrent. Human emotions are like strange winds, sometimes calm, sometimes turbulent and frantic. They correspond to the ups and downs of emotions within you, sometimes up, sometimes down, and the complications in life you encounter. People often say that when you are sad, emotions intensify. That is natural and falls into an unconscious rut. But the issue depends on your perception of things. In some aspects, you need to know what to do to control yourself from skewed ways of thinking before things happen due to your lack of calm, so as not to regret what you have done that may harm yourself and others. When encountering an event in life, you should have a correct perception of a problem. Your perspective today will be the result you receive tomorrow. 1. Life will bloom. Otherwise, life will be stuck. But my dear, 2 of us will eventually grow old and leave this life. Therefore, every day lived is a very meaningful day, giving us the opportunity to discover countless wondrous mysteries and enjoy the interesting things of vast life. Don't let yourself fall into the trap of some people who have self-bound themselves with too many limits, unreasonable frameworks, and then don't allow themselves to break free from the narrow mold they have. As a result, their lives and ours become increasingly boring, confined, stuck, and lose a lot of joy. I have collected a story about the core value of a problem that you will receive if you have a relaxed, uncalculated, unenvious perspective. Sometimes true value is right before our eyes. Instead of recognizing it, we put it aside and let it sink into oblivion. The story goes that a group of students, after graduating, all found good jobs and decided to visit their old teacher. After some conversation, they began to complain about the stresses of work and life. Hearing this, the teacher went into the kitchen and returned with a large pot of coffee and various cups, ceramic, plastic, glass, crystal. Some cups looked very simple, but some were very expensive. The teacher told the students to choose their own cups and pour coffee. After everyone had a cup of coffee, the teacher began to say, "If you pay attention, you will notice this. All the expensive and beautiful cups have been taken. No one touched the cheap cups. Perhaps everyone will find this normal, because who doesn't want to choose the best for themselves? But that is precisely the source of all the troubles in your lives. What we truly need is coffee, not the cup. But everyone rushed to choose the best cups, and then even glanced at the person next to them to see if their cup was more beautiful than theirs. Don't let the cups influence you. Just relax and enjoy your coffee. Indeed, life is coffee, and work, money, and social status are the cups. They are tools to hold and contain life, and do not change the quality of our lives. Sometimes you feel life is unfair because you have given too much but received so little in return. But in fact, when you give, you have already received a lot. Those are the invisible joys that you cannot touch. Sometimes you wonder why, when others are sad, you are always there to soothe their emotional wounds. But when you are sad, you can't find anyone willing to listen and understand your feelings. In reality, there is no injustice here. It's just that you may receive repayment from others sooner or later. All of us born and existing in this world owe each other. Giving and receiving is a reciprocal way to repay those debts. When you give good things, you will receive peace of mind. True giving is giving without calculating what you will receive in return. The more you calculate, the more frustrated you will feel, and your mind will be less calm. At that point, You both give and do not receive the invisible joy from your own act of giving. Everything we do for each other is either explicit or implicit, a form of debt and repayment. We know each other, love each other, hate each other, despise each other because of affinity. The initial affinity is destined by heaven, but to be deeply connected for a long time, to transform that affinity into love, is our decision, thanks to what each of us gives. But you should remember that in love, we will either receive joy and happiness, or boredom and suffering. Everything is within a vicious cycle. Even if you know you might receive something unsatisfactory, still give. Because giving means you have already loved yourself. You have merged into the ceaseless flow of life and human existence. There is never death. Because the end is also the beginning of new life. Music. In this life, everyone can choose the work they like, the place they want to live, but cannot choose their origin. Some come from wealthy families. Others are born into poor families. Some come from civilized, rich, peaceful nations. Others are born in war-torn, backward, deprived places. It is karma, good and bad deeds, that causes people to be born into such different circumstances. However, anyone's living situation can change. A person from a wealthy background, if they lack ambition, only know how to spend money, and don't want to earn money, will gradually become poor. A person from a poor background, if they continuously strive, will gradually rise to prosperity. Former U.S. Vice President Wilson came from a poor family. Guided by a heart that never stopped yearning to rise, he gradually escaped poverty and climbed to the pinnacle of success. According to Buddhism, appearance arises from the mind. Circumstances shift with the mind. In this context, circumstances shift with the mind means that a person fails not necessarily because they lack ability or opportunity, but because their own mind believes they cannot succeed. When they encounter hardship, the fear of difficulty and suffering makes them accept resignation and surrender. A person with a vast and tolerant heart will not feel that hardship is unfair to them. Such a person will also not complain about their fate, not blame heaven or resent others, but will always maintain a calm state of mind, continuously striving to learn and work to improve their circumstances. The great inventor, Thomas Edison, also concluded from his own life experience that genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. When faced with difficulties and hardships, some people will falter, some will collapse, but others will bravely move forward. Every hardship and obstacle on our life path is a precious opportunity for us to temper our strong will, achieve inner peace, and prepare to reap greater achievements in the future. The path of life and the path of Dharma are similar in one key aspect. They require us to be persistent, patient, and continuously strive. If a person practices spiritual cultivation with a mind seeking ease, being lax, easily pleased, meaning often indulging in fame, fortune, and other fleeting pleasures, and that person does not diligently cultivate and overcome their own unwholesome karma, then their spiritual practice is like cooking sand and hoping for rice. Thus, there is a saying, "Everything is created by the mind." With each passing year, don't blame your life for standing still. Instead, observe how much your mindset has transformed. The silky sun slanted over the hill, time's shadow slowly drifted by. Sleep, my mind, for the dust of life is drifting. There is an ancient story that tells of a man sheltering from the rain under an eaves. He saw Kuan Yin passing by with an umbrella and pleaded, "Bodhisattva, Kuan Yin, please spread your compassion to all beings a little. Could I borrow your umbrella for a while?" Kuan Yin said, "I am in the rain. You are under the eaves. Since there is no rain under the eaves, you don't need my salvation." The man immediately ran out into the rain and said, "Now I am also in the rain. Can I borrow your umbrella?" Kuan Yin said, "You are in the rain. I am also in the rain. I am not wet because I have an umbrella. You are wet because you don't. Therefore, it is not I who is saving myself, but the umbrella. If you want to be saved, don't look for me, but look for an umbrella." With that, Kuan Yin left. The next day, the man faced another difficult problem and went to the temple to pray to Kuan Yin. Entering the temple, the man saw someone identical to Kuan Yin bowing before a statue of Kuan Yin. He asked, "Are you Kuan Yin?" The other person replied, "Yes." Then why is Kuan Yin bowing to herself? "Because I am facing difficulties, but I know that asking others for help is not as good as helping myself." This story teaches us that when we encounter storms in life, we must primarily rely on ourselves. Rather than asking others for help, it's better to help ourselves. Music. Not hearing, not speaking, not seeing, actually only brings temporary peace. Skillfully cultivating and abandoning the ego is like an umbrella that provides cool shade, bringing peace everywhere. In this human realm, when we have a little, we want more. When we have more, we desire even more. But when we lose everything, we suddenly realize, oh, if only we still had a little, just a little would have been enough. There's a saying, Tri tuk, tien tuk, dai tuk ha, toi tuk, meaning knowing enough is enough. When will enough be enough? And knowing enough is one of the important keys to opening the door to peace. Life is not a race, but a journey for us to gradually contemplate the meaning of life. What matters is not the reward received when we reach the finish line, but what we feel on each step of the journey. Do you believe that people only realize they have lived when they take their last breath? Therefore, we need to be aware of ourselves, to know clearly that we are living in every breath. If we cannot do this, we are not living, but merely existing. A person wakes up after a long sleep and feels more mature when they discover they have two hands, one to help themselves and one to help others. What happens when a flower blooms deep in the forest, its fragrance unknown, its beauty unseen, unpraised, and no one shares its joy? Does the flower die? Does it suffer? Does it become bewildered or afraid? Does it commit suicide? No. The flower simply blooms, simply spreads its fragrance with the wind. Whether someone passes by and praises its beauty or not has nothing to do with it. It simply gives its fragrance and joy to life, to the vast entirety. Have you lived peacefully? Have we lived peacefully, like that innocent flower, blooming and spreading its fragrance deep in the forest? Music. And there are proverbs, maxims that we may already know. For example, when life gives us a sour lemon, don't be afraid. Use it to cook or make a cool glass of lemonade. If you approach a matter with a pessimistic, disheartened mindset, then life's challenges are those sour lemons. But once you embrace that matter with an optimistic, life-loving spirit and an open heart, those challenges will become a wonderful glass of lemonade. Frowning while tasting a sour lemon or joyfully enjoying a cool glass of lemonade is entirely our choice. Music. Time can help us grow, but it doesn't necessarily make us mature. Only by experiencing and facing life's vicissitudes do people gradually become wiser and more knowledgeable. A wise person, when alone, will discipline their mind well, seeing it as a good opportunity for self-reflection. When interacting with others, that person will know how to control their words, seeing it as an opportunity for humble learning. Life is suffering. This is one of the most fundamental teachings of Buddhism. However, without joy, where would sorrow come from? Without suffering, how could one fully understand joy? In sadness, there is joy. In joy, there is sadness. Suffering ends, sweetness comes. Extreme bliss knows suffering. And the peak of joy is also the beginning of suffering. Pleasure and suffering are impermanent. All lie within the human mind's perception. The Buddha enlightened sentient beings, saying, "Pursuing fame with too much ego, even joy is suffering. Disregarding fame, knowing how to humble oneself, even suffering is joy." Practice inner cultivation, facing the sea of suffering in life, so that your heart matures, becomes resilient, is not troubled by suffering, and is not immersed in wild pleasure. Life is like a long journey that takes us through various ups and downs and adventures. The Buddha taught that to find self-sufficiency and peace, we need to learn to take worries lightly, just as we view clouds passing through the sky. Taking worries lightly does not mean denying emotions or avoiding difficulties to find self-sufficiency and peace. We need to view every challenge as an opportunity to grow. Taking worries lightly means keeping the heart open and flexible. When we don't cling to unimportant issues, we open the door to joy and embrace positive things. We need to focus on positive things and not let ourselves sink into unnecessary negative thoughts. Self-sufficiency and peace do not come from holding on to too much. To find self-sufficiency, we need to learn to let go of things that no longer serve our journey. When we are no longer burdened by unnecessary weights, the heart opens and we become free. We have the right to choose how we react to it. When we learn to take things lightly and not put too much pressure on ourselves, we become like flowers blooming amidst the swirling waters of vibrant life, fresh and radiant. Life doesn't always go our way. So, we must learn these 3 sentences and always maintain an optimistic and cheerful mindset. 1. Let it go. Many things in life, once we have tried and made an effort, the outcome is no longer important. It will pass. And no matter what difficulties we encounter, we should face them with a positive attitude. When facing unfavorable situations in life, we must always keep an optimistic and cheerful heart. Using an optimistic attitude to face difficulties will help us transform suffering into strength. 3. It doesn't matter, because a positive and optimistic attitude is the first step to solving and overcoming difficulties. Use a positive mindset to rescue yourself from the quagmire of suffering. Only then can we overcome greater difficulties. The Buddha's enlightenment does not help us achieve the impossible, nor does it help us regain what is lost, but rather it teaches us how to face life when things don't go as we wish, how to timely adjust ourselves when encountering difficulties and setbacks. We are born and live in this mundane world, and we will encounter all kinds of people. Some will speak well of us, and some will speak ill of us. But as long as we do nothing against our conscience, we don't need to pay attention to others' comments. If someone speaks disrespectfully, don't take it to heart, and certainly don't get upset. Because those words won't change anything, but they will disturb our hearts. If just because of criticism or an intentional or unintentional disrespectful remark from others, our mood is disturbed, and we then carry that bad mood into our lives, we unknowingly become a conduit for spreading bad moods everywhere, hurting our loved ones and friends around us. It's like throwing a series of stones into a calm lake, first from one person, then spreading outwards, eventually making the whole lake turbulent. But if we are tolerant, our mood will be much more peaceful. In fact, thinking back, those things are not a big deal at all. We store all daily occurrences in our hearts. When joyful and sorrowful events accumulate, they become chaotic and disorderly, which makes our hearts troubled and restless. If sadness and unhappy memories accumulate in our hearts without being cleaned out, they will only make us more confused. Therefore, we must regularly clean them out to say goodbye to those troubles. In any situation, we should think positively, discarding unnecessary suffering. Only then will there be more space for joy in our hearts. Sometimes, when we encounter unpleasant things, only by promptly discarding those unworthy sorrows can we find peace and happiness. Suffering also varies in degree from person to person. For a poor person, eating 3 meals a day is already happiness. But for a rich person, sometimes, just because the dishes at a banquet are not luxurious enough, they feel annoyed. When humans pray for happiness to come to them, that is also when they create the cause of suffering. Suffering originates from the desires within each of us. It is normal for humans to have desires, but within limits. Desire is not frightening. What is frightening is greed. The cause of most suffering comes from greed. By discarding greed, one finds contentment and happiness. A child born into the world usually clenches both hands, and a person, when they have completed their journey in life, closes their eyes and lets go. The purpose of living in this world is not to be precious, my friend. We, human beings of flesh and blood, cannot avoid moments of exhaustion. A small, vulnerable heart may sometimes feel hurt and pain, but we shouldn't reveal every grievance on our face, nor should we seek someone to complain to every time we encounter difficulties. If all pain could be forgotten, no one would want to keep a peaceful mind. If all wounds could heal, why would there be any taboos in life? Remember that you are also a normal person. When your body is tired, you need to rest. When your heart is wounded, it needs to be healed. For everything, as long as you have tried your best, there is no need to regret the outcome, because in this world, there are many things that don't go as you wish. You shouldn't make things difficult for yourself. Life has only one path we cannot choose: surrender. There is one path we cannot refuse: growth. Overcoming one challenge adds one experience. Overcoming difficulties makes us stronger. If life could have a little less comparison, a little less calculation, a little less resentment, a little more tolerance, a little more understanding, a little more giving, then every day would be a new day, and the world would become peaceful. We come to this world for only two major things: birth and death. One task is already completed. Only one remains, so there's no need to rush. What comes with affinity will come, and when it's done, it will disperse. What good is waiting or wishing? A wise person will not live by the gossip of the world, nor fear the gaze of others. Just understand your own heart. Observe your own strengths and weaknesses, and gradually correct them. That is also a way of cultivation. The greatest desolation in life is having no spiritual refuge, not knowing where to turn. Whether you are conscious of it or not, whether you admit it or not, but if your heart only contains good things, then nothing can trouble you. If your inner self is truly kind, you will never resent anyone. If your way of life is truly simple, then no matter how chaotic the world is, it cannot affect you. Being a good person brings a healthy body, a peaceful mind, and sound sleep. Doing good deeds is known to heaven and earth, and revered by spirits and deities. If there is no doubt, the world is not cold. If there is no discrimination, the world is not far away. If there is no resentment, the sky is always warm. If there is no quarrel, the four seas are forever peaceful. True tranquility is not sitting motionless for hours, but knowing how to observe all things with a calm mind, even listening to the sound of flowers and grass growing. Sustainable stability comes from within. Seeking or finding it externally will never succeed. Humans strive their whole lives, toil their whole lives. But when they leave, they cannot take even a blade of grass or a leaf. If they strive their whole lives, accumulate their whole lives, ultimately, they cannot take even a bit of empty fame or adoration. Once born, whether rich or poor, when the journey ends, everyone must say goodbye. So, while you have the chance, Live wholeheartedly. Cherish the people you deem necessary and like. Don't chase after superficial worldly standards. Life is actually very short. Many promised to live 100 years, but turned around and were gone. There are also those who just made intimate friends, only to be separated by life and death when they woke up. So, while you still have the chance, don't create regrets, don't overthink, don't care too much, don't ask for too much. Try to treat the people around you a little better, because you might not meet them again after this life. What appears in life can only be experienced, not possessed. Because we are only travelers passing through, one day we will have to say goodbye. So, calmly face what has passed and openly welcome what is coming with joy. Life passes very quickly. If we can move past the illusion of fame, we can touch true things. When facing complex situations in life, resolve them gently and let go of unnecessary entanglements to achieve peace of mind and move forward. Yielding to others avoids petty conflicts and sorrows. Looking ahead will reduce many negative thoughts and prevent blaming heaven and others when things go against our wishes. Blessings come from diligence and a life of sacrifice. Cultivate compassion to help the poor. Use a grateful heart to repay deep affection, and maintain respect for everyone and everything. If you believe in cause and effect, you will not cause regrettable deeds in life. Joyfully persevere in present good deeds to welcome a bright and peaceful tomorrow. A strong person can sometimes get tired after a long time. Caring too much about feelings will make the heart ache. Overdoing work can sometimes bring trouble, and speaking too much can become bragging. Life cannot be without bitterness and sweetness. Life cannot avoid the warmth of human relationships. Who doesn't wish for a smooth sailing life without suffering? Who doesn't want to cherish affection and never abandon it? Some things, once understood, will seem lighter. Some people, once deeply understood, no longer worry us. As a person, sometimes you shouldn't be too rigid. Sometimes, even after giving your all, you're still blamed and resented. Just be carefree, and nothing will bother you. As long as you cherish the people in front of you, do your work well, are sincere and kind, and have no shame in your heart, everything will be rewarded accordingly. If you only know how to demand from outside, it will only make us lose faith and diminish our character. All phenomena are empty, but cause and effect are not. Giving is the best way to eliminate greed, not expecting repayment, helping others selflessly, without fear. Only the power of goodness can help us comprehend the true joy of being human. Life is like a jar. The more sorrow we remove, the more space we have to hold joy. A mind that lets go does not mean losing passion and goals. Instead, it is the acceptance that life is constantly changing, and we cannot control everything. The Buddha taught that to find freedom, we need to view every change as an opportunity to grow and learn. A mind that lets go of life is not complacent. It is also recognizing that sometimes we need to create space in our souls to gently welcome new states. When we hold on to too much, the mind becomes cramped and uncomfortable, like holding beautiful flower petals tightly in a colorful life. Life has unpredictable changes, but a mind that lets go of life's freedom helps us become like tree leaves, bending under a gentle breeze, fresh and shining. True happiness comes from appreciating every moment, even simple ones. Sometimes we need to learn to live in the present and not let worries take away the joy of the present. When our minds let go, we open the door to freedom, allowing the soul to soar and experience the beauty of this life. Think positively, and everything will be fine. Thoughts shape who we are. We become what we think. If you think you're useless, you'll certainly never achieve anything because you won't even bother to act. If you think you're smart, of course, you will be smart because you'll know how to make it happen. Just think positively, and everything will be fine. Life will have fewer worries because you'll always try to turn everything you encounter into your own joy. Knowing others is intelligence. Knowing oneself is enlightenment. Conquering oneself is more significant than winning 1,000 battles. That is a profound lesson everyone needs to know. Conquering one's own mind is the greatest hurdle a person must overcome. Therefore, we should practice meditation to understand ourselves, to know what we like and what we need to do to satisfy those desires. The best way to relax and unwind is to practice walking meditation every day. When the mind is at peace, the body will quickly recover energy, feeling relaxed and calm. Remember, no one can give you peace but yourself. Music. Oh, life is strange, isn't it? Happiness, then worries. Let's return to the realm of meditation. Quietly, 2 weary realms. 3 workers were building a wall. A passerby asked, "What are you doing?" The first replied, "Can't you see? Building a wall? What else?" The second replied, "We are building a skyscraper." The third replied, "We are building a new city." 10 years later, the first worker was building another wall at a new construction site. The second worker was a construction engineer sitting in an office designing projects. The third worker was the boss of the other two. All three did the same job, but their different mindsets determined their different positions. A person who constantly overcomes themselves will constantly rise. Maintaining an optimistic mindset will determine the quality of your future life. The more optimistic a person is, the healthier their body, the more cheerful their spirit, and the higher their quality of life. When you have negative thoughts and sadness, chase them out of your head and remember that there are situations you don't have the power to change. So, the best way is to calmly assess everything. Get used to feeling happy and make that one of your primary practices. Frequently, smile at yourself and others, and let everyone know that you are a happy person. Trying to criticize others' actions will help you avoid many negative feelings. Minimize envy, as it can harm your entire life. Many people feel unhappy without realizing that their expectations are completely unrealistic, and happiness is a relative concept. Don't try to immediately become completely happy. You should be happy with smaller things rather than waiting for something really big. Every day, we have to face so many unpleasant things, annoyances, and situations beyond our control. If we can change those things, that's great. But it's not always possible. So we need to learn to get used to these things and accept them cheerfully. Learn to have more patience, tolerance, and magnanimity. Try to look at your life and everyone with a friendlier and gentler eye. Also, don't worry too much when you fail. Let the past go. Focus on the present moment. No need to bring up unhappy memories and bury yourself in them. Learn to meditate. Just a few minutes of meditation each day can change your life. A truly cultivated person should not fear encountering difficult circumstances, because it is through hardship that one's character can be tempered, consciousness elevated, and wisdom increased. True spiritual practice is practiced in daily life. If you embrace everything with a generous heart, encompassing all, then there will be nothing you cannot understand. You will see everyone as good people, and all situations and circumstances you encounter as good things. These are not mere theories, but have been proven in reality. Remember the saying, "Be strict with yourself, generous with others." That is, when you make a mistake, rigorously self-examine. When others make a mistake, don't be too harsh in criticizing them. Dealing with the world is the same. Treat leaders, colleagues, subordinates, and everyone in general kindly. If you can do so, animosity between you and others will naturally diminish in proportion to your compassion. Music. We often say that the laws of the universe are immutable. Many people often forget about stillness, and then they try their best to exhaust themselves without thinking about where humanity comes from. We are born from a state of stillness, from nothing. Why are we busy from day to night and then feel sleepy? It's because humans need a state of stillness. The mind cannot go without rest. When dealing with a complex, difficult problem that seems unsolvable, the first thing we need to do is calm our minds, become still, and stop thinking altogether. At that moment, a viable solution will suddenly emerge from our thoughts. This is the effect of stillness. If you encounter something too difficult, the more you think, the more you will mentally oppress yourself. All your nerves will be strained, and in the end, you will either not but fall ill. The more one leans towards altruism, the more peace blossoms in their heart. The more one is selfish and burdened with anxiety and worries, the more they circle in suffering. Listen deeply and perceive profoundly that we possess nothing of our own. Looking around at all sentient beings, understanding bring compassionate glances. All four directions, north, south, west, east, are kin. No enemies in life. Music. There was a man who had a habit of immediately turning to the obituary pages whenever he picked up a newspaper. He read the obituaries very attentively, even though he often didn't know the deceased. A friend wondered about this strange habit. The man replied, "Oh, I read them carefully, because I want to express my gratitude to these people." The friend's eyes widened in surprise, saying, "I don't understand anything. You're thanking dead people, and all of them are strangers? Is there something wrong with your head?" The man calmly replied, "That's right. I sincerely thank them, because their passing reminds me not to forget that human life is inherently impermanent. Death can come unexpectedly, and no one ever knows when. While alive, perhaps these people also had many dreams, many calculations, struggles, joys, sorrows, and jealousies. Now they are lifeless bodies, waiting to be cremated or buried deep in the earth. They use their very lives to remind me of a great lesson in life. Doesn't that deserve a word of thanks?" Music. Live like the Buddha, who owns nothing but can use everything. Enjoy, but don't try to possess. Everyone knows a simple truth. When we come to and leave this world, we have only 2 empty hands. So why try to grasp everything for ourselves? Things that were never truly ours. Our body is our closest possession. We carry it everywhere. Yet the Buddha said it is not yours. How much less so are external things? So why do we constantly toil and suffer? Why do we continue to create karmic cycles of suffering? The lotus does not separate from the mud. Amidst the mud, the lotus still exudes boundless fragrance. Living in this confusing world, though life has 1,000 paths, we follow one. In wisdom, there is compassion. Compassion must be guided by profound insight. Live flexibly with all circumstances, skillfully steering the boat to cross the currents. Understanding brings truly free living. Music. Every day we face countless unpleasant things, annoyances, and situations beyond our control. We cannot always prevent undesirable things from happening. Therefore, it is better to learn to get used to them and gradually accept them cheerfully. Learn to cultivate more patience, tolerance, and magnanimity. Try to look at yourself and everyone with friendlier, gentler eyes. Also, don't worry too much about failure. Let the past behind so you can fully focus on the present moment. There's no need to stir up unhappy memories and then bury yourself in them. Learn to meditate. Just a few minutes of meditation each day can change our lives. Inner peace will lead to outer peace and tranquility. In life, there are gains and losses. You don't always receive an immediate response when you give. Life always has its own way of operating. The future is always ahead. As long as we step forward strongly, let's give ourselves wings of freedom, overcome pain and entanglements to be a cheerful person. Forget the years and age. Don't let time make us old and decaying. No matter how old, as long as we feel young in spirit, that's enough. Overcome the temptation of fame and fortune, for they are external and fleeting. Everyone usually wants a bit of fame, a bit of profit, and then they compete to get it. Then, when things don't go their way, they complain that life is unfair to them. In fact, living a simple and ordinary life is the greatest happiness, and everyone should have a friend. Possessions cannot be our friends for life, but friends can sometimes become our lifelong assets. It's best to have a soulmate. When you feel lonely, you can reach out and chat a bit. But having a true friend is really not easy, so value quality in friendships and build a refuge within yourself. When troubled, calm your heart and give yourself space for your mind to settle. Look at the wildflowers by the roadside. Though small, they compete to bloom and adorn life, and the world suddenly becomes more beautiful. Think optimistically. Live a happy life. Music. perhaps we often make the same mistake, taking someone's kindness for granted. Then, one day, they make a small mistake, and we immediately forget all the good things that remain. People often remember the flaws and mistakes of others, enjoying scrutinizing their shortcomings and assuming others are inferior to them. The more they look, the more they see others as weak. The more they observe, the harder it is to accept. In reality, looking at others is like looking in a mirror. If you frown and roll your eyes, you will surely get an unpleasant reflection back. From then on, both you and the other person feel unhappy. A slight clumsiness of others seems magnified in our eyes. When dissatisfied, but still having to confront it, it feels as uncomfortable as a needle pricking the eye, a thorn stinging the skin. A frail back, but a kind heart still comforted countless people. It's okay to be a bit physically weak as a person, but don't let your spirit be weak. Weak-willed people are often pessimistic and self-deprecating, so you must cultivate a courageous, opinionated, and confident spirit. It's okay to be a little slow in seeing and hearing as a person, but don't let your mind be deluded. Always remind yourself to maintain a clear mind and sharp intellect to see far and wide. It's okay to be a little ruthless as a person, but never be too arrogant, letting your false heart turn you into a demon. Otherwise, if you don't go to hell, who will? It's okay to be a little smart as a person, but never consider yourself outstanding and everyone else foolish. Otherwise, in this world, there will be only one fool, and that is you. It's okay to be a little lazy as a person, but never be a lazy idler all day. What needs to be done should be done diligently and completely. Have a bit of a contributing spirit. Otherwise, you'll be a parasite clinging to society. It's okay to be a little thrifty as a person, but don't be overly calculating about money. Otherwise, you'll get into the habit of judging others by money, and sooner or later, you'll become its slave. It's good to be a little tolerant as a person, but don't let others look down on you or take advantage of your tolerance to continue making mistakes. No matter what, you should maintain your own principles and self-esteem. It's okay to suffer a little as a person, but don't let the suffering drag on without any solution. You must learn to rise above it. No matter how strong a person is, they sometimes have to shed tears. No matter how strong one's inner self is, there will be times when they feel shaky. We all wish that when it rains, someone holds an umbrella for us. When wronged, someone comforts us. When in danger, someone protects us. But everyone understands that no matter how far the road, we must walk it ourselves. No matter how many troubles, we must solve them ourselves. No matter how hard the pain is to accept, we must get through it ourselves. The world's ways are unpredictable, so we must be clear-headed. People's hearts change, so we must adapt. Learn to appreciate, but sometimes also know how to forget. Facing what is difficult to face can sometimes be a burden. Accepting what is difficult to accept will help us grow. Even if the human heart is often weak, one should try to live strongly, because no one can live this life for us. Love yourself, treat yourself well, and live days to be proud of. Life will surely have unpleasant things, and we will encounter disagreeable people. If you cannot take things lightly and let them go, you will live in trouble and fatigue. Between people, due to different knowledge, different perspectives, and different levels of cultivation, the ways of perceiving and handling problems are not the same. Therefore, sometimes conflicts, clashes, or disagreements are normal. In such moments, forgiveness becomes grace. It becomes a way of self-cultivation, an umbrella that can protect you and help you move forward through storms and wind. Forgiving others sometimes requires a little sacrifice, a generous heart, or a bit of disadvantage. That is not weakness or fragility at all, but rather to make your path wider and clearer. Life is also like the sky. It cannot always be clear for your enjoyment, but sometimes it will be gloomy, causing you distress. Life also cannot forever grant you good luck and happiness. Sometimes it will make you taste all the bitterness and sweetness. Therefore, open your heart and learn to live loosely, moving past the people and things that trouble you. You will see yourself standing high and looking far to the horizon. Music. People usually overemphasize their desires, which makes them excessively concerned about others' reactions. When their desires are not fulfilled, they immediately feel sorrow. The greedier a person is, the weaker they become. The more one focuses on their own interests, the more calculating they become. The more one wants to achieve, the greater the perceived loss. All suffering stems from greedy desires. If our greed diminishes, others cannot predict it and use it to serve their own goals. If greed is eliminated, worries have no place to cling and will naturally depart, and we will find freedom. Music. Sometimes we focus so much on the cup that we miss enjoying the flavor of life's coffee. Therefore, don't let the cups influence you. Just relax and savor your coffee. And through the story above, we can see the core values derived. We are constantly chasing after vague things, worries, and sorrows amidst a society full of competition and ambition, forgetting that beyond that lies a vast sky where we can savor the wonderful taste of life. No matter how bad a situation is, you must consider its positive aspects. You will see things become brighter. If you do that regularly, it will quickly become a habit. And instead of saying, "I can't," think that you can. Even if sometimes you don't achieve what you want, you will gain experience. Experience can be even more valuable than what you are hoping for because it stays with you for life. While those other things exist, their existence is not eternal. Everything has two sides, good and bad. Try to think positively. Otherwise, we won't accomplish anything. We shouldn't worry about things we cannot change, because life is not always fair. If we waste time on such meaningless worries, we will only become more disappointed. Instead, just act. And if the world doesn't change, you will change for the better, won't you? Almost every one of us is dissatisfied with our lives, but we need to know how to balance ourselves in this life. Never let yourself fall into a deadlock with useless obstacles and paradoxes, with no way out. Find a way out for yourself, even if that path is full of thorns and difficulties. Be steadfast and believe that countless good things await us ahead. When facing a situation, your perception is very important. A fresh perspective will open many new doors for you to receive many good and fortunate things. The child disagreed to do the homework assigned by his father. So the father quickly said, "Son, I'll do the homework. You check it." The child happily agreed and meticulously checked his father's homework, even listing formulas and explaining them to his father. But there was one thing the child didn't understand: why his father had done all the homework incorrectly. Clearly, when we skillfully change roles, responsibilities, perspectives, and take a step back, sometimes that is also a way to move forward and solve a problem, isn't it? An old man went to the market to buy vegetables, picking 3 tomatoes and placing them on the scale. The shop owner weighed them and said, 1.5 pounds, 3.70. The old man, knowing he didn't need that much for soup, removed the largest tomato. The shop owner said, 1 pound, 2 ounces, $3. Just as someone nearby was about to remind the old man to mind the scale, the old man calmly took out 70 cents, picked up the largest tomato he had just put aside, and leisurely walked away. By changing our way of thinking and forging our own path, we will find a different method to solve problems. In life, it's inevitable to encounter situations where our thinking gets stuck. Sometimes we can immediately break free. As long as we change our way of thinking, examine the problem from a different angle, perhaps the outcome of the matter will be entirely different. In life, 8 or 9 out of 10 things are unsatisfactory. In life, if you know how to apply reverse thinking, looking at a problem from a different perspective, you will see that loss can sometimes be a kind of possession. Failure or bad luck can sometimes become poetic. Now, let's imagine a picture. The man in the picture is trying to save the girl by holding his wife's hand, who is about to fall into a hole. At the top of the cliff, the man doesn't know that below, in a crevice right in front of his wife, a snake is lurking, preparing to attack the girl. And the woman, looking up from below, doesn't realize that a large rock is pressing on her husband's back and entire lower body. The man thinks he's in so much pain, trying to hold on to her with all his might. But why can't she try to climb up? The wife is facing the snake in the crevice in front of her, while still trying to reach for her husband's hand, but dares not make any unusual movements that would pose a danger to the snake, because then the snake would attack her or her husband, and the girl thinks she's about to fall and can't climb up because the snake will attack one or both of them. Why can't he try a little harder to pull me up? From this, we see that we can never see the pressures and pains of the other person, and they may also never see what we ourselves have to endure. We may see them always smiling. They may see us always relaxed. But is there truly happiness behind that smile? Or something pleasant behind that relaxation? It's just that they are helping or trying to help make their lives, and everyone's lives, a little less worrisome, a little less weary. Or the story of the 2 prisoners looking out at life through the bars. One saw dirty mud, while the other saw a beautiful starry sky. That's life. Whether in love, at work, in family, or in social relationships with friends, let's try to understand each other better. Think differently. Listen more. Empathize more deeply. And life will be much more beautiful, lighter, and more comfortable. Because no one can see themselves as others see them. No photograph or reflection gives us a view of ourselves as others see us. It has been observed that on a witness stand, no 2 people ever see an accident exactly the same way. We look through different eyes and from different perspectives. But if we can see the world as others see it, we can come closer to understanding why they did what they did and why they said what they said. It's not events that trouble us, but our perception of them. A person whose mind is filled with their own thoughts and views will never hear the voice of another's heart. You may not realize it, but the smallest change in perspective can transform an entire life. Adjusting your attitude, even just a little, can change your whole world. Don't wait for others to help you financially, because money is never enough for anyone. Learn to give. Friends, helping each other is a good deed, a moral duty. If they don't help, it's also normal. Don't harbor resentment, because no one owes you anything. Cultivate an independent, resilient, optimistic spirit. And happy. Because ultimately, only you are directly related to your own life and death. You must learn to be resilient. Never make friends based on wealth or poverty. Even if someone has billions, it has nothing to do with you. Don't make yourself a servant to others. In this world, there are people who, even if they only have one cake, can break it in half for you. You must learn to read people. You can believe that there is still loyal love in this world, but it belongs only to the cow herd and the weaver girl, Liang Shanbo and Zhu Yingtai, or Romeo and Juliet, because they all died very early, and we live longer, so we must know how to preserve it. What do we ultimately realize in life? Life doesn't necessarily have to be too abundant or wealthy. It just needs to be meaningful every day. Happiness doesn't come from comparing oneself to others, but from feeling with a compassionate heart. Lasting joy doesn't come from external sources, but originates from one's inner self. When you fall into life's abyss, when you find yourself in a difficult situation, don't be sad or discouraged. Think of one person who always has hidden strength: yourself. In this world, there is no smooth path. There are always twists and turns somewhere. You must overcome them and move straight forward. Those minor detours are not meant to defeat you, but are opportunities to temper your resilience. No matter how many silent tears were shed last night, when the sun wakes up, the city will still be bustling with people and vehicles. Therefore, trust that every difficulty will pass, and every tomorrow will surely be a new day. Definitely. Music. No matter how bad your mood is, remember not to write it on your face, because no one wants to read it. No matter how tiring your work is, don't complain or sigh, because no one will do it for you. No matter how poor or miserable your circumstances, you shouldn't complain about being humble or struggling, because no one will give you money for no reason. Even if you're disappointed, don't give up. Think of the expectations of your parents and loved ones, and keep trying. Even if you're discouraged, don't give up. Because the problem isn't the work, it's yourself. Cherish your choices. Even if it's difficult, don't complain. because everyone has their own affairs and can't always help you. So be a little stronger. Enjoy what you are doing. And even if you are criticized, do not be pessimistic and lose your will. Because no one is born able to solve everything perfectly. You have to try your best with each task. Don't rush to think you are lonely. In fact, very few people truly understand what loneliness is. With family and friends, never having experienced the storms of life, where does loneliness come from? When sad or tired, you should know how to comfort yourself. If there's no one to worry about you, you must be stronger. If no one cheers you on, you must know how to fly by yourself. If no one admires you, you still need to be fragrant and presentable. Observe the grass beneath your feet, the flowers by the roadside, and the leaves on the trees. Though humble, their lives are truly beautiful. Life, though impermanent and short, should not be carelessly disregarded, because no one can buy health. When you have time, admire the vast mountains and rivers to relax your spirit. Don't be too harsh on the things around you, because everything exists for its own reason. Don't criticize others, especially those you don't understand. We only have the right to advise those we love and care about. When angry, don't speak, because afterwards we often regret the words we blurted out. Forgive those who have hurt you, but absolutely do not give them another chance to repeat it. No matter how hard and arduous life is, don't lose self-confidence, because all the beautiful things are ahead. No matter how noble or utterly corrupted your character, remember to treat your parents with filial piety, because tomorrow you will surely become old and weak. Don't forget those who helped you. Don't hate those you once loved. And never deceive those who placed their trust in you. Between people, distance can be close or far. Between tasks, things can be complex or simple. Between feelings, they can be deep or shallow. Don't expect others to treat you specially, and don't hope they will reduce their calculations. In life, some people speak little and do much, while others only flail their arms. Don't bother too much. Just manage your own affairs well. Do what needs to be done. Walk the path you should walk. Maintain kindness. Cultivate sincerity. Be accommodating to everyone. Be strict with yourself, and let the rest follow. Karmic affinity. The Buddha once said, "To those without affinity, no matter how many words you speak, it is futile. But if there is affinity, just your presence can awaken all their senses." Some things, once clarified as black and white, become the past. Some people, after a few days of anger, become memories. Some pains, once laughed at, vanish like foam. Some situations, by enduring a little suffering, make one stronger. Sometimes today's big deal, tomorrow, looks insignificant. This year's important matter, next year, will be secondary. Great deeds of this life, in future lives, people will consider legends. Each of us, at most, is just one person's story. Therefore, in life or work, if you encounter something unpleasant, tell yourself, today will pass, tomorrow will also come. Let go of everything to start a new day. In this world, some things are not that you don't care, but that caring does nothing. Life has no if only consequences and results. How you embrace your life is your choice. Others cannot decide for you. As you mature, you will know how to face everything with a smile. Do you know? The sufferings in this life are like salt in our lives. The amount of salt remains the same, but the amount of suffering we endure depends on the capacity of the vessel, which is our mind. So whenever you feel sad, discouraged, unhappy, or dissatisfied, remember this: a pinch of salt, if put into a cup of water, can make the water undrinkable. But if a pinch of salt is put into a lake, the lake water remains clear and sweet. Therefore, the problem is not simply whether or not someone puts a pinch of salt into your life, but whether your heart is a large lake or just a small cup when suffering. The only thing we should do is broaden our perspective. Don't be content to be a cup of water. Become a vast lake, or even a long, wide river, dissolving all the pain in this life. When we broaden our perspective, we will perceive many positive things. We will realize that even in pain or hardship, we can still be joyful and happy. If we truly want it to be so, everyone in life must experience some difficulties and pain. How the problem is doesn't matter. What matters is how we choose to face the problem that arises. So, I ask you, every time someone puts a pinch of salt into your life, do you choose to be a cup of water or a whole lake? Everyone in life has their own private sorrows, which they don't want others to know about and can't tell anyone. To alleviate worries, many people like to travel. When they seek nature, they find their pain shrinks, and all their feelings dissipate into the infinite space of heaven and earth. Using scenery to heal the mind, even if it's only a temporary substitute, is still essential for those who have not yet fully lived with a meditative mind. Ultimately, those who hurt us are also very pitiable because they have been driven and controlled by the pressures of greed, anger, and delusion, thus losing self-control. To those you don't like, smile and wish them well. To those you love, continue to treat them sincerely. That is enough. And don't expect them to be loyal to you. The nature of the human mind is impermanent. We want them to be sincere with us. Sometimes we will feel pain because they do not treat us as we expect. The ancients often said, "Man proposes, but disposes," meaning cause and effect are always arranged. Just maintain a kind heart and treat others well. You will surely have a bright future. Achievements come from endurance and perseverance. There's a story like this. There were 2 identical bamboo trees. One was used to make a flute. The other was used as a clothes drying rack. One day, the clothes rack asked the flute, "Why were we born in the same place, both bamboo from the mountains? But I have to endure sun and rain every day, while you are cherished and highly valued." The flute replied, "Because you only endured one cut when you were chopped, while I had to endure hundreds of cuts when people crafted me." The clothes rack fell silent. Life is the same. If you can endure hardship, loneliness, and rub against reality, daring to take responsibility for your life, then your life will have value. When you see others' glory, you don't need to be jealous, because others have paid a higher price than you. This world has many intelligent people, but few can persevere to the end to conquer their dreams and aspirations. Therefore, only a few people win. The smarter a person is, the more clearly they understand their own shortcomings and always strive to conquer their goals to the very end. There was a small, fragile flower growing beside a tall pine tree. The small flower was extremely happy to be sheltered from wind and rain by the pine tree, so it lived joyfully without any worries. One day, a group of workers came, cut down the large pine tree, and took it away. The small flower was extremely heartbroken. It cried out, "Without the pine tree to protect me, how will I live? When heavy rain and strong winds come, what will I do? The rain and wind will kill my tiny body." Hearing the small flower crying, a distant tree comforted it. Don't think that way. Without the pine tree's protection, you can welcome the sunlight and receive raindrops. That way, you will become stronger, and everyone will see your radiant beauty. When they see you, they will exclaim, "You are so beautiful." Tell me, won't you be happy then? The small flower smiled happily after hearing this. People also need to learn to grow up, need to break away from the protection of parents and family, and need to learn to accept and handle all events in life. A person who goes through all kinds of challenges can become strong and resilient. Without experiencing rain and wind, how can we see a rainbow? And so, The hardships of life will pass. The few times we stumble and win. Joy and sorrow become like smoke and clouds. What remains is peace with every step. Within each person lies a private sky, sometimes stormy, sometimes clear. We are within it, and others cannot intrude. Within each heart are segments of emotion, sometimes sweet, sometimes bitter. Sometimes we don't clearly see, and others don't understand, because feelings cannot be spoken. They are called the heart's voice. Because tears cannot flow, life seems cruel. Displaying a bright smile all day long before the public makes it difficult to share one's true feelings. Accustomed to speaking of satisfying successes, sorrow no longer finds an opportunity to express itself. The advice given to others is all truth. But when it comes to oneself, one ponders endlessly without clarity. Judging others is clear-headed and lucid. When facing one's own problems, one gets a headache. This is a common human failing. Some things, if they don't happen to us, we won't fully grasp their weight. Some situations, if we're not in them, we won't fully understand the emotions within. If you clearly know that life's storms or the sun's beauty are only temporary, what matters is what remains afterwards. So why worry about changes and shifts? Just live well as the person you are now. That is enough. Sometimes in life, we need a quiet moment to listen to the sound of flowers blooming, to observe the rustling of leaves. Don't assume that if you can't let go of someone, they will be so emotional they can't forget you either. Fish without water may die, but water without fish is even more peaceful. What needs to come will come. Those who want to leave will leave. Don't reject or cling. There's no need to tirelessly pursue beautiful people. Instead, cherish those who make your life more beautiful. Just give your all to your work for one day, in the present, and later, everything will become memorable recollections. Accept all events with a peaceful mind. Treat those who make mistakes with compassion. So what is there to worry about? This life is not leisurely. This life is not light. Music. Some things that arise can only be accepted. Some people, once lost, can only be let go of. Some paths, once chosen, can only be walked forward. Many good things come from waiting, not from fighting for them. So have patience if you don't want to miss out on happiness. Enjoy every big and small event that occurs in life, because tomorrow, when you look back, you will realize that they were all very important. Many things have to wait until they become memories before we realize the value they carry. If there is true affinity, time or distance are not issues. But if there is no affinity, even if you meet, you will each go your own way. Perhaps a person needs to walk many paths, experience much glory, and many hardships to mature. When you clearly see someone's flaws, but don't speak out, you will understand the meaning of forgiveness. Not liking someone, but not turning against them, you will feel the pinnacle of respect. A mature person is not someone who has lived long, traveled everywhere, and experienced many things, but rather because they know when to let go, or be tolerant to limit conflict and contention. Everyone carries some amount of pain in their heart. It's not that because it's in the past, they no longer feel it, but because they know that speaking out won't solve anything. It will only make them weaker. There are some wounds that are not ignored, but understood that they can only be faced in silence. They will heal themselves. Maturity means being able to maintain a full smile through the process of transforming suffering into happiness. No matter how bad your current life is, you need to bravely face it. Don't think about avoiding it, and certainly don't curse or complain, because it's all for your growth. You need to know how to make the most of it. I believe that often a relationship ends not because we change, but because the affinity is no longer there. Stories that went on forever have now ended. The warmth that once was is now just a memory. Past emotions are now only in the past. It's not that people turned cold or that we burned bridges. It's just that there are no longer the subtle, quiet promises between us as before. I also believe that everyone has a selfish side and a degree of generosity. Why does a person shed tears? A person suffers because they care. A person cares because they have feelings. A person has feelings because they are human. Having feelings, caring, having suffered and shed tears proves you are a complete human being. So if you feel tired, forgive yourself. Because we are just ordinary people. There's no need to appear invincibly strong. There is no insurmountable obstacle in life. Everyone has joys and sorrows that need to be transformed. Happiness and pain that need to be faced. Birth is a given. Living is our choice. Understanding this truth, you will find your own way to adapt. If you have walked a path for a long time and see no hope, you should change direction. If you have thought about a matter extensively and still cannot untangle the knot in your heart, you should let go. If you have interacted with some people for a long time and still don't feel sincerity, then walk away. If you have adopted a lifestyle for a long time and still don't find joy, you should choose to change. We come to this world primarily for two big things: birth and death. One thing is done, only one remains, so there's no need to rush. Each person's life is only one, whether short or long. Life continues day by day, whether sad or joyful. Life's path, each stage, is a different way of walking, whether retreating or advancing. No one is perfect, and no job is flawless. When encountering petty people, don't calculate, because calculating only brings more trouble. When encountering complex matters, don't dwell too much, because dwelling only makes yourself more tired. The world is vast. People's hearts are complex. So how can one not encounter petty people? The dust of the world is deep. Circumstances are unpredictable. So how can one not encounter worries? Think moderately. Look broadly. If you are wronged, remain silent. Once resolved, smile gently and with relief. If there is no sun, listen to the wind blow and watch the rain fall. If there are no fresh flowers, breathe the scent of the fields. If there is no applause, enjoy the quietness alone. Time turns, years change, no complaints, no sighs, no sorrows, no calculations. Keep your heart clear, walk lightly on the beautiful path. Cherish genuine emotions, maintain a positive mood. When you need to control yourself, take a deep breath to change the atmosphere. Face difficulties calmly, then change your perspective. When you fail, try again to regain confidence. Learn to face yourself. Be open to life. Practice forgiving mistakes is a word filled with pain. It is not necessarily just an achievement, but certainly requires sacrificing many things. There are some paths that can only be walked alone, difficulties and hardships that cannot be shared with anyone. Cherish those moments, because after all, we only have one life to live. Stop chasing distant illusions. No need to worry about what's past. No need to dream about what's yet to come. Direct your entire heart to the present. This moment is who we are. We sincerely thank you for your valuable time spent following and supporting the Lin Ung Buddhist Dharma channel throughout this time. Your interest and support are a great encouragement to us. To not miss the latest videos, please subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. This will help you easily update meaningful and beneficial Buddhist teachings, helping to elevate your spiritual life. We very much look forward to continuing to receive your companionship in the next videos. Sincerely thank you.